What's up, everyone? I'm Joe Lemon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Real Value Exchange. So today's episode is with Jay Fields, and I want to tell you how we kind of linked up. And this is all going to speak to the power of podcasting, because it started off with a friend of I met Jay through a friend. We were actually working at the at this digital marketing conference here in LA, DigiMarCon. And, he was telling me about, he was like, man, you got a podcast? You should really talk to my daughter's coach, Jay Fields. And Jay Fields is not only a coach for the, for his daughter's high school team that's ranked really high in the state, but he also is a sports agent. And I was like, okay, that's cool, because I work in sports medicine recovery. So I kind of work with some of the athletic trainers on lots of these other pro teams. So I thought it might be some cool synergies there. I was all right, yeah, well, let's kind of link up. So I hit Jay up on LinkedIn, got right back to me. And, this speaks to the power of podcasting, because really, to me, it's networking on steroids. And a lot of times what happens is that when you go to a networking event, and you're like, okay, yeah, let's go exchange, business cards and hopefully talk and see if there's some way for us to link up. That whole tactic still works. So I'm not hating on that. I'm not trying to put that down. But a lot of times you don't get to dive in deep. And this is where podcasting kills it to me, because there's this thing called podcast guesting, where you bring people on. They don't have to necessarily be your clients or people in your ideal profile, people that you want to sell to. But it's a way to kind of pick the brains of the people throughout your industry. And it also positions you as a thought leader, not only by association, but also by some of the jewels that you may kind of glean from it. I mean, so I got into a really good conversation with Jay. And we just started talking about everything from sports to like-minded people that we know, and it just went down this whole rabbit hole of place that I just never would have expected it to really go. So to kind of give you some insight on Jay, Jay's a sports agent, I was saying, but he takes a unique approach to it. He doesn't just kind of call on all the big name guys, because that's where a lot of the people play, right? But he targets some of the underserved areas. So he's a WNBA agent, which is a really cool approach, because lots of the players are underrepresented, but it's a growing market. They have steam. They just got the brand new team out there in Vegas, so things are starting to compound in that whole market, as well as he targets international leagues, as well as boxing, and we get into all that. And so it's a really cool way that he got introduced to it. He used to play ball himself, and then he got into coaching, and then he just saw, opportunities in the marketplace. And on top of that, he also talks about investing with their actual players. Now, this is something I didn't really realize how a lot of sports agencies work. It's more like an actual investment firm for a lot of these players if it's done properly. Now, they don't have to, but it should be about, trying to make sure that they don't just, get these nice checks and then throw them down the tube. You should also be able to kind of coach them along the way. And this is what Jay's doing. So Jay's really taking people under his wing, making sure that they keep their money, put it into proper investments. If they want to be risky, he can show you those. But he's more so trying to coach them into safer, long-term investments that will hopefully set them up to not have to jump on the grind as soon as they get done, right? So really interesting conversation that we're going to have here. I want to give a quick shout out to my show sponsor with Barbara Depta as well. ReSync Your Core. You've probably heard her jump on a couple of these episodes here, but I got to tell you, this is something that I've been personally using, and we're not getting paid for it. Yes, there's a link in the show notes if you want to purchase it. I get a small clip, you get a discount, so it's a win-win there. But man, I love this product because it's just like supplementing food. And for a guy that's always traveling, I'm on the road now currently, even doing this intro, recording out of a hotel room. And this is just a great way to go about getting full nutrients and just kind of being able to kind of take it with me on the go and making sure that I'm not skimming out on just some of this, food that, let's be honest, means some garbage along the way. It's just real, but that's what happens. So, check out ReSync Your Core. I have links down in the show notes. My episode with Barbara Depta is coming up soon, so you guys should be definitely checking that out, man. You guys can get some insight into why I really wanted to get behind her, because I think she's on to some amazing things. So with that said, sit back and enjoy this episode with Jay Fields from NVEA Sports. So And you know what's probably best for me to do like this. I just want to roll right into it. So keep on telling me what, how you were talking about as far as being an athlete.
So I mean,
obviously it was basketball, but
basketball was the number one thing.
Yeah. Your position was what though in basketball?
I actually played the 1 through 4.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So
you played the whole
I
whole thing.
I played the 1 through 4. Obviously when you start getting taller and taller, you start kind of get pushed down towards the big boys.
Of course.
But so for me, man, it's so crazy because like when I was in Cali originally, I actually I played some sports, but I actually grew up playing, pretty much skateboarding.
Oh, really?
That's just the common thing in Cali.
That's the whole culture, though.
You got to skateboard, you got to surf, or BMX. So and then I kind of transitioned a little bit more to I still play basketball stuff, played flag football, baseball, whatnot, but. Obviously when I went back east and started getting taller and stuff like that, I started to develop a little bit more, passion for basketball. So, and then, I started experiencing other sports when I went into high school, ran track. I did a high jump, did a 4x4, did a 400, did a hurdles.
Jeez.
Did that my sophomore and junior year. And then just started more so trying to transition a little bit more to basketball because I was getting recruited.
Okay.
It wasn't super heavy. I had like Chattanooga. I had some smaller schools, Liberty University and stuff.
Yeah, Liberty.
But
I like Tennessee, right? I think Liberty's out of Tennessee.
Liberty's out of Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But from there, man, it was just, like I said, didn't have the grades, more so didn't have the grades because my first 2 years of high school, I was an idiot, man. Like,
what were you doing, bro? I mean, man, because look, though, man, like, I'm only asking because I can really relate to this, though. You know what I mean? Like,
skipping class.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, skipping class, thought I was the man, I was this 6'1", skinny, weight.
As what? I mean, hold on. You were like 6'1" as like what?
As a freshman in high school.
As a freshman?
Yeah, 6'1", 6'2". So,
I'm sure everybody was probably looking at you like.
Well, I mean, it was that plus because, my sister was already in high school. So it was just like, all right, well, your younger brother's coming in here. And I thought I was a man, bro. Like I was, I had some upperclassmen, females that were like, pressing the issue and whatnot, juniors, seniors. And, it's crazy, man. So with all that, man, with really being a bonehead, our first couple of years in high school to, transitioning from Tennessee to North Carolina. And then, I had a crazy aunt, man, that was just, she would call me the N-word with the ER at the end. Like,
oh, wow.
She didn't even care. Like, man, you're stupid. And she'll just go off.
Hardcore.
But I also kind of thank her for that too, man, because it really changed my life around, like in a sense of,
tough love is needed, though, man.
It is needed, man.
I can appreciate it so much more at this stage in the game, But go ahead.
No. I mean, I tough love is needed, man. I mean, it's really being able to show somebody you care, really pushing them to a direction where it's better than because you're talking about I barely passed. I don't even know how I passed my freshman year.
Yeah,
like I barely got past and went to my sophomore year, but. I kind of turned my life around after I left Tennessee, and it's me and my mom, and living with her cousin and her family, and I actually got an honor roll. I think my first semester of my junior year, I averaged like a 3.69 GPA. So
a full turnaround.
Yeah, full turnaround. But the thing is
at the same school.
So no, this is when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So I went from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Riverdale High School to Garinger. In Charlotte, North Carolina. And then we actually switched sides. We finally got our own place. Me and my mom got our own place. Ended up graduating at Vance. But I mean, even that because I went to a high school in a different state, the requirements were different. So a lot of people don't even know. Like, I was going to school in the morning. I would get off. I would run on the other side of Charlotte to take classes so I can graduate on time.
Wow.
Okay. But at the same time, I was playing basketball. So my mom would literally have to drive all the way back, literally almost 40 minutes away, so I can make it to practice.
So you got nothing but, I'm sure, mad
mad
respect for your mom.
But for sure. But the crazy thing is when I started coaching, I was on grades, man. Really? Yeah, I was tough on grades because I didn't want people to sit up and lose opportunities over grades. I mean, you're talking about numerous doors closed because, you want to be cool, you want to hang out with friends, skip classes and stuff like that. That's what I did for first 2 years of high school. Granted, I was going through, some personal issues with my parents splitting. I didn't understand. I was young, and I'm not trying to make that as an excuse, because I think I was like in 8th grade.
Right.
But, for me, when you're used to having, at least a father figure there, like my dad, my dad was my dad. My dad knew how to be a dad based off of his, childhood, which, wasn't the greatest, but, he did the best that he could do. He loved, me and my sister the best the way he can love us. So, it's one of those things it's like when you're kind of, as a male, you need that father figure day in and day out, like, and really not just tough love father figure, but really somebody like, hey son, like, you're my guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I got into coaching, man, I started to see that, and I was coaching majority women. I was coaching high school girls, but I also coach AAU basketball on both male and female. And it's crazy that like you said earlier, just the small world, you start to see the exact same things in certain people that you went through. It's the exact same pattern. Obviously, it's minorities. Most of them are minorities. So it's like, hey, bro, I got you. Like, you need to understand, like, the path you're taking, it's not even good. Like, straight no bueno. Like, it's bad. Yeah. So let's get on this path and stuff like that. So for me to see guys like Drew, my guy, kid that I coach, Bugs, he's playing at, University of Hawaii. So, I got another kid that's playing, I think he's playing baseball now. I got, players that, even female players that, end up going to college, graduating college, playing basketball in college. Some of them even try to go overseas. It's just cool to see the growth from when they were 13 years old to, even players now 22, 23 years old. And it's just like, that's cool, especially knowing that you just did it because you had a passion for it, not looking for, a handout. If you know about high school coaching, ain't no money there.
Yeah, I was about to say, you really don't get the proper amount of love there, man. And it's one of those things too, where it's like, I think that the kids need to hear from younger people as well, right? Because a lot of times, the people that would be like, look, I've been there, they were like mad old, and you're like, there was like no, at least once I was cut up, there was like no relationship, like nah, like no way you were cut up the way I was cut up.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for the most part, you didn't even know how to kind of translate what they were giving you over.
Correct.
But you're about how old now, Jay?
I'm just turned 30. So
dope. Okay. I mean, so you having that conversation with him goes way different, I'm sure.
Correct.
Man, so dude, I gotta welcome you to the podcast, man. I mean, we were just talking though, man. But I'm with Jay Fields, and it was one of those type of meetups where I went to this actual marketing event. Big ups to David, and David was there as well. We were both volunteering because I was like, I'm not paying $2,000 for this ticket. I'll go volunteer though. I got some time. I can go help out for a little bit. Yeah. David was doing the same, and David was like, look, man, I see what you're up to. I was telling everybody about the whole podcast, and people were kind of, it was getting some pretty good buzz there. And Dave was like, man, you got to talk to my guy, Jay. Jay used to coach my daughter. And so, man, I'm just glad that you were able to kind of come through so quick. And, I have to say, it says a lot about the person's character whenever it was like, hey, because it was like really random. I was like, hey, David, just let me get his contact. I'll hit him up, And so, David was like, all right, he's on LinkedIn. I was like, all right, let's ping him. But you got back to me faster than when I was trying to hit you. Yeah. And it was just like, okay, Jay's up to something. Let's see what's going on.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I was curious what you got going on, man. Like, I'm always like that. Like, especially when you're, African-American male, you just African-American person, period. It's just to be able to see somebody out there grinding and stuff. So I was just curious. I had to find out, man.
Appreciate that, man.
Dave is a good guy, man. So for him to be like, hey, Jay, because he inboxed me. He's like, hey, I need you to talk to this guy, man. You got some stuff going on. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I got to find out.
I mean, man. So, pretty much I'm just trying to talk about what other people have going on for the most part. Because I was checking you out as well. And it's one of those things where you have you have this sports marketing agency that you're really trying to blow up these days, right? Yeah. Why'd you choose to go with the NBA type of route more so than kind of just sticking with the, males only?
Probably because when I started coaching, it was pretty much mostly females. Okay. I coached. I volunteered back in like 2007, 2008. at the YMCA for like the junior and little Lakers and whatnot.
Okay.
They were guys, they were all guys.
Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to kind of get into high school coaching back in like 2011. And, it just so happened, I didn't really know how to really get into all that, but, I fell onto a website, which was CIF, coaches.com or .org.
Yep.
And I saw an opening for like an assistant coach at Lakewood High School, and it was girls. I was like, whatever, it's basketball. I don't really discriminate based on gender. It's basketball to me.
Of course.
Basketball is basketball.
Yep.
So, I applied for it, got it. And it's funny because, man, that guy, the head coach, Dan, man, we're best friends now. We're like brothers, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've known each other since 2011. We're like brothers, man. And it's so funny because he always clowns me because I didn't know how to come to the interview, man. I came suited and booted, man. I didn't, he's in basketball shorts and stuff like that. We're in a coffee. He has a little whistle around his neck, and I'm in a 3-piece suit. Like,
hey, man, but look, man, look. I was always raised to believe that I don't care what you're trying to go for,
Correct.
garbage man,
Correct.
president, you show up just kind of ready to roll, what I mean?
Correct.
I mean, because it obviously worked out for you, though, right?
It did.
Yeah,
it
just
did.
impressing as worse.
It panned out, and it went from coaching, young adults and teaching them, about basketball and life, to just kind of realizing that I was more a business person. I've always been like a business mind person.
Sure.
Even back when I was living in Jonesboro and had kind of like my own little lawnmower service going
on.
Oh, really? Yeah, man. Yeah. Cutting grass for $20, man.
That was a deal back then, though, too.
You know what's so crazy? I will
now.
never forget that gig because I was able to purchase my first Sega Dreamcast. This is when Sega Dreamcast first hit the market.
Oh, that's
yeah. So
that's legit, though.
It was, man. It was
Dreamcast,
man.
I remember Dreamcast.
Hey, you remember 2K when it first came?
Of course, come on, man. Of course, man.
So I had to get
trapped inside once that happened.
Yeah,
man.
I had to get it. So,
were you going like door to door?
So, when I lived in Jonesboro, we were living in a subdivision. So,
Okay.
St. Andrews subdivision, there was probably like 100 houses. Mm-hmm. And
you can work the angles.
Yeah, I went door to door, and I was like, hey, $20. You got like a football field yard. Like, I got my sit down lawnmower, $20. Let me get in. And
you had to sit down too.
I had to sit down.
So
man.
It was a mega hustle.
You know how Georgia is, man.
Of course.
You got 50 million acre backyard and front yard. So
it's too much.
So I had my sit down and went around. So I just took because I had that mindset back when I was like 11, 12 years old. I was like, I love basketball. Mm-hmm. Coaching is getting harder because the generation is changing. The attention span is a little bit shorter now. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, more and more youth are not wanting to work harder, and I was just like, what, I'm a business guy. I love basketball. I love sports. I would like to kind of eventually transition out of this, but for me, I was thinking more so being a GM or something like that for a team, mm-hmm. and it got to the point where I knew a lot of people coming out of college that were like, hey, Jay, do you know any agents? Do you know any coaches overseas? Do you know anything? And I was like, what, I actually do know some people. And you know how it is. It's not just about who you know. It's just who they know as well.
100%, yeah.
So, I made a few phone calls, got them connected with some agents or some coaches overseas. And a really good buddy of mine who, passed away a few years back, Wendell, was like, Jay, you need to start your own company. I'm like,
oh, really?
I'm like, bro, I don't know what to do, man. Like, he's like, Google it. So, that's the thing for anything nowadays. You don't know how to do something, Google it.
It's crazy, dog.
I Googled it, and here we are today, man. I started really working as far as, I really started working as an agent back in 2015, but I started to do some, trying to form the business and company back in 2014, trying to bring in people and stuff like that. So, started with one client, Sabrina, back in 2015.
Okay.
We're at like 30 clients, 3 years later.
That's awesome.
Got about 4 agents now. So we have, a staff of about five people, and we're really trying to create a service that's needed. And that's, not only the business aspect, but also the caring aspect as well. It goes hand in hand. A lot of, unfortunately, agents and agencies out there, it's all about money for them, which I get. Business is business.
Sure.
But they're also human beings as well.
So. Man, you know what? I feel like that landscape is definitely shifting because people are, just to kind of be frank, people are being exposed
mm-hmm.
who are just about a buck. I mean, everybody understands everybody has to eat and has
Correct, 100%.
Everybody has bills to pay and everything else. But it's one of those type of plays where I think, people also want to know that they want to partner with people that are actually doing what's in their best interest.
Correct, 100%.
So
that's facts.
Yeah, I mean, man. So how is it changing? I guess with the whole like landscape once it comes to running an actual agency.
I mean, the industry's for sure changing. You know, you have your heavy hitters for sure. So you got your heavy hitters, obviously, and then you got, you know, your smaller agencies, stuff like that. But I think what it is that more and more people that are, you know, slowly but surely getting into the actual industry itself, they're really trying to go on the, you know, helping a player side of things instead of strictly straight all about, you know, money and you know, this athlete's a statistical number. We're going to make this amount of money before they fire us, that type of thing. So the shift is for sure happening, but it's also happening with, you know, certain players. Like, you know, regardless if you look at football, I'm not too sure about on the football side, but prime name comes to mind is LeBron James.
Of course. You
know, LeBron James went from the biggest firm, CAA, and put his boy on, you know, Rich Paul, and now they have Clutch Sports, and they're killing the game. Now you have a African-American male in a, you know, majority Jewish and white industry killing the game. And when you see certain stuff like that, then it's a domino effect. So you see big baller brand LeVar. You see, you know, even what Carmelo Anthony does, you know, outside of just, you know, granted he's still with CAA, but, you know, investing more, the way that Dwayne Wade moves, the way that a lot of people are moving now is completely different how it was 20, 30 years ago. You know, back then it was strictly about playing basketball, making money, and then, you know, obviously blowing it for the most part. Nowadays, it's a little bit more investing and moving a certain way to be successful outside of basketball or sports in general. So because that platform is there and it's kind of there for a taking, that's the direction that we're going. We're trying to be the next CA. We're trying to be the next Octagon. You know, it's not really trying. We will get there. It's just obviously it's going to take time. But it's really just planting the seeds, you know, moving methodically and swiftly to get to that point, honestly.
Man, you know what? So especially when you see so many players coming up with their own personal branding and just how important that is these days.
Correct.
Like, what's some things that you think agencies should be doing, or what's some opportunities that you see just kind of for yourself, I guess, to kind of really help players boost themselves, I guess?
Maximize your client's full potential and on the court and off the court, regardless of if it's baseball player, basketball player, football player, track. It doesn't matter what it is. Even, you know, prime example really quickly, and it's still, you know, based off of the subject, is even the comment that Asia Wilson mentioned in regards to, you know, the WNBA and players not getting paid as much as, you know, the NBA guys.
Right.
But you got to be able to, you know, their agents have to help maximize their ability on and off the court. You know, Asia Wilson is an attractive young lady that could get into some modeling stuff. Granted, you know, we understand there's a pay gap. We get that, but still trying to find ways to maximize. The issue is that sometimes it takes a while. That could be a year, 2 years, 3 years. Most agents don't want to do that for free. So because they're not capitalizing on it quickly, or because that client may be, you know, number 150 out of 100, you know, out of 200, then they're kind of being pushed, you know, back, and all that player is going to focus on is just the contract. And even then, sometimes the contract is not even that big because the agent may have or may not necessarily fully engage in negotiation because they have other clients that they have to focus on. So it's all about maximizing. I mean, we try our hardest to figure out ways to maximize. You know, I have a client right now, rookie. She played at University of Cincinnati. And not only are we trying to get her endorsement deals, now she's not a WNBA player, but she has a good following on Instagram. We all know social media is huge.
Killing.
You know what I mean? So if you get random people to, you know, have certain followings and making money off Instagram, why can't you do that with athletes? That's even better because they're actually, you know, they're in the circuit, they're in the work, you know, in the entertainment world or what have you.
100%.
So that's what we really pride ourselves on is finding ways to generate more money than just a regular contract. It doesn't matter if they're, you know, a first round draft pick or nobody's ever heard of them. If we can get them a basketball contract and maximize their potential on and off the court, it's a win-win for everybody.
I just feel like, man, people have so many different sides too, you know. I mean, because like I mean, even though, of course, they're going to be really good at basketball if they're working with you guys, but they might also like fishing, or they might also like, numerous other things like painting or anything, right?
Correct.
And those are all aspects that could probably be leveraged on
Correct.
other platforms.
And the biggest thing, even with that, there are people that may want to establish a fishing company,
right.
You know what I mean, or what have you. So, it's again, we're talking about maximizing full potential on and off the court. We're talking about, financial education, putting in with our financial advisors, the groups that we work with. And like
that's a big deal these days too, though.
It is. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like,
talk about it,
I'm not too, fully thorough about Antoine Walker's career, but I from the stories that I've heard, Antoine Walker was under contract with Boston Celtics and was still technically bankrupt.
Yeah, that makes no sense, because I want to say his contract was something like $108 million,
154, I believe.
Yeah,
so you're under contract and still technically you have no money. Now, again, I'm not sure those stories are true, but there are stories that are like that,
right? Where
people have money coming in, but technically it's still going out because they're bankrupt. They blow money, on this, they blow money on that, but it's because some of the guys that I've talked to that were former NBA guys, their agents didn't put them with financial advice. Their agents didn't do this, they didn't do that. And that's what we can't, that's what we don't do. Right. We make sure that we try to set you up as fully as possible with every single different instrument that you possibly can. Now, it's up to you to utilize it. We can't force
them. Yeah,
right. But you have access to attorneys, you have access to financial advisors, you have access to, us, in regards to understanding your contract. We always, read through your contract, understand your contract, understand the terms. You have questions, let's get on it, set up a conference call, let's go on it, let's break this stuff down. Some people be signing contracts, they have no clue what they're signing.
Of course.
So when they turn around and it's like, oh man, I thought no, read your contract, this is what we're trying to tell you. So and then the biggest thing that I pride myself on and really make sure that all my agents focus on is post-retirement. Like, that is huge. Like, I have a client, Randy Brown, University of New Orleans. She wants to get in real estate. I'm also in real estate myself. Okay, well, once we settle you with your basketball stuff, let's talk real estate. Let's figure out how to network. Let's try to figure out what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be an investor, you're trying to be a real estate agent, what is it that you're trying to do? Let's figure that out now. Oh, but I'm 21. And? What does that mean? So you're telling me you can't get more, some revenue stream coming over, some passive income coming over here because you're an athlete? That means nothing. Let's start setting that stuff up now. So that's what we really pride ourselves on.
I mean, hands down, I would say basketball is a little bit better to me when it comes to having contracts than like some other sports out there. But still, getting people started and like tasting and like testing what they're into, because it's a process, right? I mean, it's not one of those things where you just kind of come out the gate and you're like, oh yeah, 100% real estate. I mean, you've been doing like this for how long now, as far as like real estate, that is?
Man, I started working for an investment firm since 2011. We did real estate then, so since 2011.
Oh wow, okay. So are you more on the residential side or more on the actual commercial?
I'm more on the multifamily commercial side.
Okay, commercial investments. I got you. And so, man, it is totally one of those processes that a lot of people think that they want to get into something and it's going to drop and happen immediately. But it's more of this, it's a good way to say it, exploration type of mode that you have to go through. So that's really cool that you're kind of getting all your players like up on game of that now.
Yeah, you got to, man. I mean, the thing is no matter if they're a big time NBA, WNBA, NFL, or baseball player, or a player that plays overseas, a lot of them think they're going to play forever. It's not possible.
Right.
So even currently,
it's great to have that conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I got clients now that are pushing towards that 30 mark, and it's like, hey, we've been talking about financial advisors for the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah,
we've been talking about post retirement for X amount of years. Like, we have to get this going.
Man, you know what? Why do you think basketball is growing so big overseas? Why do you think it's catching the way it is? Because it seems like it's catching all over, man. I mean, based off the stats I'm seeing.
Basketball is an enjoyable sport. It's something that both, it doesn't matter the gender you can play, it doesn't matter the age you can play outside, you can play inside. You can just be in your garage dribbling a basketball. But at the same time, the NBA really pushes it hard. They really invest a lot of money hard. The contracts are great if you do make it to the league, and it's entertaining. And, I think the biggest thing is the NBA supports a lot of things that the athletes do, regardless of that certain, the whole BLM movement that was going on a couple years back. I guess that's still going on. I'm not sure, but the voices that a lot of these athletes have really kind of voiced. They kind of back them, for the most part. Now, I'm not saying they back every single thing they say, but they really back him. So when people see stuff like that, like, hey, man, you guys are really building this brand, you're backing your athletes, blah, 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 I like that. If you look at the NFL, there's no guaranteed contracts.
None. It's crazy, man.
If a player says something that, the majority owners are, older white, men.
Sure.
They dislike, you look at a Kaepernick situation. People don't fully understand Kaepernick's situation, but understand that, if you understand it, then you understand that what he's saying is valid. And because it's valid, then you should back him. NBA backed LeBron, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, Melo when they had that, I think it was the ESPYs Awards they were on or whatever, and they made that, that speech.
Yeah.
NFL pretty much, pretty much ran Kaepernick out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you have stuff like that, and then you look at baseball, a lot of people think baseball is boring. Basketball is really growing. The other biggest sport is soccer. I don't know why it's not catching on in America. It's really weird because to me, and I think for most people, soccer is probably the world sport.
Oh, it is 100%. Yeah.
So
the whole world stops for the whole
the World Cup for sure.
The World Cup, it's a wrap.
And then you got your second sport, which is basketball. NFL was at that peak, but like I said again, there's so many moving parts that the NFL organization does not do that really hurts them. So
one of the thoughts I have with that is the fact that there's only but so many big name basketball players, and even what you see what's happening with the whole big three, right? I mean, not saying it's going to catch. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I mean, it is something that has started up where it seems like it's doing okay. I mean, I'm not sure what those actual numbers look like, but it kind of puts pressure on the actual league to say, all right, listen, at least to the players, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, so as far as bringing on more and more players, just trying to actually grow them, once they're looking at going overseas, what's that process like? Because I'm just totally in the whole dark with that.
Yeah. The process is, there are teams and leagues all over the world. A lot of people don't realize that. You got your big time leagues even on both sides, male and female, Russia, Turkey, China, great money in those places. You got, all throughout Europe has leagues. Greece has leagues.
Canada has their league, right?
Canada has their own league. I'm not too familiar with the women's side, but I'm very versed on the men's side, the NBL Canada. But it's just really, really reach out to the teams. Really selling your clients the best way that you can possibly sell your clients in regards to okay, what a position are you guys looking for? What budget you guys, what budget you guys have? blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so is it really set up to where you have to reach out to the teams and you're trying to get them? Okay, got it.
Yeah. I mean, the only way.
So you're really in the trenches with these guys.
Yeah.
I got you.
You really gotta, scrap and get, do some work. I mean, sometimes it could be, going through a different agent or agency, establishing partners that may have those relationships within those countries. Like we have on the women's side, I believe we have three partners on the women's side, 3 partners on the guys' side, spread all throughout Europe. And with that, we go through either them or we go directly to the teams. But it's countless of hours, days, weeks, months, and years really building that network base to the point where teams start to trust you directly and things like that, and really trying to sell your clients to them that this is the reason why you should take this person. This is the reason why you should pay this person this amount of dollars. Let's talk bonuses. Let's talk this. But, for the most part, it's tax-free overseas. A lot of players don't realize once you go overseas, come back to the States, you do have to, claim taxes federally. That's just, a lot of people don't understand that. But even outside of that, usually players are well taken care of overseas. Meals, room and board, shared cars, things like that. And
everything's paid for. It's kind of for the most part, just based off a little bit I've heard about.
For sure. So everything's
nice
taken care of. And if you're in a good situation, if you're a big time name, like you look at guys like Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury went from the NBA to China.
He's the man over there too.
The dude's making $4 million a year per season. It could be really good even overseas. I know everybody's goal is to WNBA, NBA, we get it, but you can still be the man or the one man, overseas and still make some good money.
Are you finding more and more of your players willing to go out overseas now, or is it something where they're still kind of hesitant and they really want to stay?
For the most part, a lot of majority of our clients are overseas type players.
Okay.
Now we do have some players that should be in the WNBA, probably should be in the NBA, but kind of get overlooked. That's the politics that kind of comes into play. We do have some clients that just like, hey, I just want to play overseas. I don't care about the politics. Keep it simple. I want to make some good money. I want to be able to take care of my family, grow my name, build my resume, and call it quits when it's time to call it quits. So for the most part, that's the next goal, is really trying to push more towards the NBA side of things, really going after bigger names, higher draft picks. Obviously, that's going to come with certain things that we have to do as an agency, as a firm. And then eventually, branch off and bring on different NFL agents and, MLB agents. We're also trying to expand into boxing, things like that. So, like I said earlier, when I said we're trying to be the next CAA, that's...
You really want to push for it.
Yeah,
you want it.
100%.
Man, you know what? So, obviously, going to other sports are going to be big, obviously.
Correct.
But what's some of the things that maybe you guys are trying to line up right now, if you don't mind trying to share some of your secret sauce?
Yeah, right now, we're really trying to continue to push towards that NBA circuit.
Okay.
A lot more. We're trying to bring in other agents in other, in other fields that do have a Rolodex of clients, that do have their own portfolio of clients. And at the same time, we're working to establish, like I mentioned earlier, our wealth management division. So our wealth management division will interact with our current clients. It's all in-house. So we will be 100% one-stop shop for everything that you need, from accounting to attorneys to financial education to everything. But at the same time, our wealth management division will have the opportunity to interact with your everyday people, your doctors, attorneys, even people who need to learn how to really save their money and invest their money and things like that. So we're really trying to establish ourselves as a powerhouse management firm in the industry, for sure. Man,
you know what? So you're probably grinding right now, then, man.
Don't sleep, man.
Talk about it, man. Because I can totally see the ring on your hand, though, man. So, man, are you on the road a lot?
Man, during recruiting,
how's it look for you?
Yeah, during recruiting period, for sure, man.
Yeah,
like it's the recruiting period is even between.
Is it going on right now? With the whole summer league, for
us, the NBA summer league, unfortunately, right now is not really valid right now. We don't have those clients. But for recruiting, when we're targeting certain players, going to games, talking to parents, stuff like that, we're probably gone between January and April, mid-April. So
so you're on the road, just hitting it hard, January.
For sure.
The first quarter is like all you.
First quarter, for sure, all us. Started April for sure. Even this year, I was on the road for almost 3 weeks straight.
It's good.
And
I like that.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun,
of course,
but it takes a toll on you. After a while, you start missing your family. Your child, and it's like, all right, I'm ready to go home type situation. But yeah, we're in one city for 2 days, in another city for 2 days. Day in and day out. So yeah,
that's pretty cool though, man. You know what? I'm on the road a decent amount, not like that, but I travel every other week for work type stuff. But you know what? Once you're gone a week straight, give it that 10 days, and then all the rooms start looking the same. All those hotel rooms, everything's getting smaller. I ain't got nothing bigger. Everything starts to kind of close in on you. Man.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then time zone, man. If you're going from one time zone to another time zone, jet lag, and it's crazy. And then you really, especially for us, we're very personable.
Yeah,
we had. One recruiting trip to University of Tulane University.
Yep. Up there, Ohio.
In New Orleans.
New Orleans, I'm back.
Yeah. So we were recruiting, their star player Kobe Morgan, who we, eventually signed. But we're very personal. We like to be next to the family. We want to be able to enjoy the family, get them to know us, to really make sure they understand we really care, because we really do. There's to me, man, there's no point of being passionate about something you do if you don't care at the same time.
Yep.
And as crazy as that sounds, how can you be passionate and not care? You can. You can be excited about what you do, but at the same time, whatever. If I make money, great, whatever. I love the industry that I'm in, but whatever. So
I see it all the time. It's so easy to just kind of go through the motions, though.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. You might love, you might be passionate about, like, hey, yeah, man, I love blah 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 blah. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, whatever. If I get the deal done, whatever.
Right.
So for us, like, we're very personable. We really want the best for all of our clients. We actually want the best. Really, really want the best for players that don't even sign with us. It's like, hey, even if you go with this person, I do hope that you do. They do what they say that they're going to do, because a lot of people talk. It's a lot of, especially in this industry, so many promises that are broken.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with this so many times. Have players hit me up months down the road, like, hey, I fired like 2 agents already. Like, you think you can work with me again? Like, and it's because people lie. Like, I'll never forget this guy. I played at Hampton University. I was, we were going after him hard, point guard, and I guess his mom was, when you have an African American mother, they get excited. They get excited when they start hearing some stuff. So the mom, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna take care of your son. We're gonna get him some NBA workouts. Never happened.
Yeah.
It never happened. Fired that person, went with another person, fired that person.
So how hard is it to get your players an actual workout, though? I mean, is that something where it's like, is that an easy task, or is that something that's kind of like?
It depends who the player is.
Of course, yeah.
Player, if the player actually had a semi decent season, you can get them. You can get some. Your players a workout.
Get some looks pretty easy
for sure. So I mean, like, especially on the WNBA side, I'm pretty versed with some head coaches and assistant coaches, and we've had players bounce in and out of WNBA with training camp. WNBA is hard. It's 12 teams, 12-man rosters. You got an influx every year of like 500 plus girls that are trying to be a WNBA player, but it's also very political too. There's a lot of shaking hands, kissing babies type things behind the scenes, and you really have to work your way to get into that circle. If you get into that circle, then you're pretty good. But if you got the right player, and the player has a good name, yeah, you should definitely be able to get a workout.
You're in there, okay. All right, that makes sense, man. I mean, so, and the fact that you're looking at getting into boxing as well is really interesting to me, because boxing is one of those sports that I feel like is back on the come up, man. I mean,
it is.
I mean, you're finding more and more, heavyweights are back for the most part. They were like quiet for the longest too.
Wilder, man.
Yeah, man.
The dude's crazy.
I mean, legit.
He's crazy, man.
I legit want to eat your face type of thing.
Yeah. I've seen some of his fights, man. I'm just like, I don't even want to be in the ring with that guy, man.
I mean, man, so I'm all good off that. Especially at this age. Maybe at like 19, 20, you know what I mean? Yeah. Once I was feeling a little bit more spontaneous. But no way. But how do you go about finding boxes?
You know what? I don't even know. That's my business partner. That's something he's
because everything seems so underground with that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of networking, local gym type place.
For sure, local gyms. I've talked to a few trainers out here in LA. My business partner is actually in Dallas, Texas. And, that's something that we talked about, and he was like, yeah, man, I got a lot of people kind of like in my Rolodex that I'm going to start keeping an eye on, and we're going to get my business, my boxing license and stuff like that. So. But he's actively pursuing that, man. So it's definitely pretty interesting, because I actually when I was growing up, I watched all sports, but I really love.
Who was your favorite boxer growing up, man?
Man, Lennox Lewis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Lennox Lewis, man.
He had that reach, man.
Yeah,
that reach was crazy. Yeah.
Lennox Lewis was the man. I mean, I can't go back as far as Ali. That's way before me.
Sure.
Lennox Lewis, Roy Jones, definitely those two for sure. I mean, no disrespect to Floyd, but. Those guys, those were my guys, man.
Well, what was cool about him is that he was quiet too, though. He wasn't a talker.
You talking about Lennox?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
He just came in and did work.
Very simplistic, knock you out.
He came in and did work. Hit you with that long jab that you couldn't touch.
6'4",
I remember him.
6'5".
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's right. I mean, man, I remember him just bobbing Tyson nonstop, man. And I was pulling for Tyson each time, and they was like, "Yeah, it's not gonna happen." It was one of those fights where you're like, "I hope something does happen here." But yeah, he never got on the inside on him.
Tyson's the man too, man. Look, the thing about Tyson, you just don't know. Tyson's like Artest, Ron Artest. You just don't know what you're gonna get. Man.
You never know
every single time. But he definitely was the man too, for sure.
What's so funny? He was. I mean, I feel like with like both of them, so that's a really good head to head right there, because it's both of them. I feel like had this place where they were very consistent in their lives. And then there was a little switch that happened. Whenever like Ron just went right into those stands, then he was like, Detroit, I mean, after that you were like, you didn't know what you were going to get after that. But prior to that, he was just like a hard worker, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like back in, I'm sure he was still doing some work elsewhere, but it never really kind of came out on the court that way. Yeah. He just played hard. And then once he went to the stands, you were like, you're not sure what's going to happen next.
Different animal, man. Right? Yeah. Ever since when you change your name to Meta World Peace, man, you know you're a different person, man. Like, don't come beat me up, man. But he's an interesting character, man. For
totally
sure.
flipped it, man.
For sure, man.
I mean, well, Jay, man, you know what? I really do have to thank you just for coming on the show, man. I really want to stay in touch. I want to see how I can help. With anything that you're doing with your players or any way that we could try to support, please let me know, man. But man, so what's next for your whole agency? Like this year, what's something that you like really pushing?
This year, we're definitely working to establish our wealth management side of our firm, and we're really working to bring in also the necessary funding because we're really trying to target bigger agents that have clients. We're also really trying to be a player in the NBA circuit. So, we're working trying to talk to some investors and kind of give them an opportunity to invest in a company and show them, the potential where a lot of these sports agencies that are players in the game, what they're making, because there's millions and millions of dollars involved. So, and especially because the legal of gambling now and a lot of these, industries are going to be.
How does that affect you, by the way, man?
That's a positive thing, man.
Really?
Contracts go up, more money.
Sure.
Yeah. So, like I know the NBA is going to be heavily involved as far as taking a percentage, which means the Players Association is going to
They take a percentage of all the gambling that's involved?
It's legal since the federal courts legalized it, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So because of that, NBA is going to want a percentage. WNBA is probably going to want a percentage, NFL, MLB, but, the Players Association is going to come involved.
Of course.
Once the Players Association come involved, contracts are going to go up. Contracts goes up, more money for everybody. So, it's going to be it's going to be interesting, man. This is like the time. Like this is, it's kind of like that the Facebook time right now. The start of
something big's happening.
Something big for sure, man.
Huh?
Yeah. That's in all honesty, it's. This is the time, man. Like if you're an investor, if you ever love sports, this is like the bread time for sure.
That's really interesting, man. Really cool too, man. Because you don't get you really don't have a lot of moments like this.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about overall a lot of industries just being disrupted.
Yeah.
Media is the exact same way. TV's kind of dying.
Yeah.
Nobody's really watching it. Everybody's on Netflix, and so it's a great time to be a part of an actual platform type play, right?
For sure.
Really, really cool, man. Well, Jay, you got to tell everybody how to find you so they can try to connect, man.
Yeah, right now you can go to, if you ever want to contact us, you can go to, you can email us at info@NVEAsports.com. It's N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, A as in Alpha, sports.com. Our website is also www.nveasports.com. Currently we're working on it, so, shoot us an email. And, for sure.
Man, Jay, again, much appreciated, brother.
Man, I appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much for doing this, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
Thanks. That's it, man. It's a wrap.
Yeah. It's good.
And guys, I want to thank you so much for staying tuned in to this station, The Real Value Exchange. Please go on your platforms wherever you consume these episodes and leave it a star. If you're on iTunes, give it a heart. If you're on SoundCloud or whatever your platform is, and be sure to leave a comment too. It really helps me get the word out, helps boost my actual rankings throughout those platforms so more people can kind of find out about the podcast. So guys, thank you for doing that in advance. And if you have any comments for me, feel free to hit me up at joealexlemon.org. That's the website, or any social media platform, Joe Alex Lemon. Until next time, you guys be phenomenal.